Crank is a 2006 crime action thriller directed by Mark Neveldine and Brian Taylor and starring Jason Statham, Amy Smart, and Carlos Sanz. As a professional assassin learns his rival has injected him with a poison that will kill him if his heart rate drops. Lionsgate presents this film with an upscaled 4K transfer with Dolby Vision and HDR10. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. I am Ken, and today, guys, we are going to be diving into this beautiful Lionsgate Steelbook of Crank on 4K. This is a Best Buy exclusive Steelbook that should still be available at your local Best Buy if you want to go to the store and see if you can find you one. And also, it should be available online on their Best Buy site. Also, I will link that down below in the description. So yeah, we're going to talk about Crank. I probably haven't seen this movie since 2006 when it came out. I can't remember if I saw it in theaters, if I rented it, but I'm going to talk about my thoughts on the movie. Then we're going to talk about the 4K transfer. So this is not the first time this is being released on 4K. Lionsgate did release a 4K of Crank back in 2019. And from what I can gather, this is the exact same disc that they released back in 2019. There are no differences here. And there's also a Blu-ray in this as well. So yeah, we're going to talk about the movie and the transfer, the audio, special features, and then we're going to do a little, quick unboxing. I know you guys want to see what this gorgeous Steelbook looks like underneath, right? But look, before we get into it, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We talk about physical media on this channel, guys. 4Ks, Blu-rays, owning the movies that you love, all that stuff there behind me. We talk about that every single day on this channel. So hit the subscribe button. And also, comment down below. Are you a fan of Crank? Are you a fan of Jason Statham? And then be sure to turn on those bell notifications for all future videos. So let's go ahead and dive into my thoughts on the actual film itself. So I did see this, like I said, back in 2006, and I remember enjoying it quite a bit. It was just a movie that I watched it once and I never really felt the need to return to it. I just never felt compelled to rewatch the movie Crank. It does have a really good cast though. I mean, I do think that Jason Statham, this was the time when Jason Statham, I feel like he had done movies before, like he had been in some Guy Ritchie movies like Snatch, and he had, he was kind of a bit player in films up until this point. But I feel like Crank, along with, I believe, the Transporter movies, which I've actually never seen a Transporter movie. I need to check those out. But Crank is the one I feel like really made him pop off, at least to me. Like that's when I first started to really take note of him. And then I know he was in, Fast and Furious, and he's done stuff like The Mechanic and obviously The Meg. And Jason Statham's it kind of feels like he's everywhere at this point. He's kind of like a go-to action genre kind of guy, but I feel like it was really Crank that just kind of propelled him into that spotlight. But you got Amy Smart in this as well, who was in this far less than I thought that she was, that I remembered her. Obviously, I remember the big iconic scene. I feel like it's iconic at this point between Jason Statham and her in the grocery market, the Chinese grocery market or town square, or wherever the hell they were. It was like a Chinatown in LA. Banging in public in front of a bunch of Chinese people. It's something, and it's still that scene still holds up. I'd say it's still pretty shocking, and still like, oh my God, I can't believe they did that. Especially like some things that happen in that scene that I don't feel like would play as well nowadays. But it's a good scene though. It's definitely a good scene. It's a memorable scene in this movie. And there's some other people that I don't know their names like right off the top of my head, but like when I see them, they like stand out. I'm pretty sure Pedro from Napoleon Dynamite is in this movie as well, which would make sense because he was pretty popular after Napoleon Dynamite 2004. So it makes sense that they would just like throw him into this movie. But there's other people I recognize. I just don't know their names. But I like it because it's quick. It's 86 minutes. It gets right into it. It gets right to the point. Jason Statham has been injected with this lethal poison, this Chinese poison. And if he doesn't keep his heart beating, if he doesn't keep that appropriate amount of adrenaline, the poison will seep into his heart and kill him. So he's got to stay on the move. He's got to keep his adrenaline up the whole movie. So it's just a really fast and frantic film of Jason Statham just going around. He's getting the nose spray stuff. He's snorting that stuff. He's taking adrenaline shots. He's doing stuff like, screwing Amy Smart in that town square. And he's just doing all kinds of crazy stuff all throughout the film just to keep his adrenaline up. So the movie's like always interesting. It's always exciting. And Jason Statham, I think, is just perfect for this type of role. There's also some really good like action sequences all throughout the movie. There's some good violence, some good gore as well. There's a scene where this guy has a gun and he comes out and Jason Statham just like chops his arm off. So there's some really good like, you know, sequences of blood and gore sprinkled throughout this movie as well. So I think it's a very enjoyable movie, but for me, it doesn't quite reach that like next level like the John Wick series does with Keanu Reeves. Like I feel like Keanu Reeves and John Wick just kind of took the action genre and just injected like brand new life into it. But this is really cool because I feel like it's a very different kind of filmmaking style, and for better or for worse, like I don't think it completely works, but it does feel very innovative when you watch it. Like you haven't seen many other films like this, like the way it was shot. And they go into that in the special features. I watched a couple of those that were included here. Just how they like, one of the directors is actually like a really good like skateboarder, rollerblader, and he's like shooting Jason Statham like while he's skating. So I kind of, when you watch it, like it does feel like just the way that it's shot and the way that the camera moves, it feels very messy, it feels very clunky, but once you get it into your head that that's the way that they intended it to look, they just wanted it to be really like stylized and just like messy and just like in your face, fast, frantic, kinetic energy to the movie. Once you realize that's what they were going for, you're a little bit less hard on it, I feel like, when you watch it. So there, again, there's some really cool shots, like when Jason Statham's up standing on top of the motorcycle, like that's a really cool sequence as well. And I like the way that this movie like resolves itself, the way that it ends. It's good. It's solid. I don't love it. I don't feel like all the story elements necessarily come together by the end, but it's good. I'd say it's a solid 3.5 out of 5 for me as far as the movie itself. Now, getting into the transfer, this is an upscaled 4K, upscaled to 2160p. It does have Dolby Vision and it has HDR10, aspect ratio 185:1. So as far as the transfer here, I thought it looked pretty good, probably as good as it possibly can, because like I said, the filmmaking style here, it's just so like messy and fast and just like hard cuts. Like you never feel like you really like gain your bearings. Like it's not the traditional like cinematography type. But I will say that I feel like the black levels are really good. I felt like they really enhance certain aspects of the movie. The movie's kind of shot, it almost feels like a Michael Bay movie when you're watching it because it's like this sun-drenched aesthetic. And I think most of the movie takes place in the morning in LA, so you have that kind of like sunrise kind of style and coloring throughout the whole movie. So I feel like the HDR really works within that kind of lighting. So I did enjoy the transfer for the most part, and the close-ups on the faces, everything looked great. There was some really good like facial detail. I thought all the coloring was good. Like when you see him chop the arm off, or you see the blood fly in places, like the blood's like a really deep, like dark, vibrant red. So you could tell that the HDR was working in full effect. But like I said, you never really get moments of like just clean, nicely presented cinematography that just allows you to kind of soak in the visuals. So since it's all over the place, it's like you can never really tell if you're watching a really great 4K transfer or if it's just okay. But the moments it does kind of slow down, you can tell. It does look good for what it is. It looks good. So I was, happy with the transfer. But getting into the audio, this is where I believe this release truly shines, because it does have the Dolby Atmos. It has Dolby True HD 7.1, and this is a really like audio like heavy movie. Like it leans heavily on the audio cues. Like throughout this movie, like you are following along Jason Statham's character, like you're with him, like POV throughout the whole film. Like when you get to those moments of his heart slowing down, like he needs to get that next like shot of adrenaline, like you can hear the heartbeat slowing down, then you can hear it kind of revving up and getting faster. So when you hear that beat, like with that Atmos, like you can just feel that reverberations, almost feel it in your chest, yourself. So that really led to some immersive moments throughout the movie. And like I said, there's just some really great action, some good gunplay, and some good moments like that. Really cool, stylized soundtrack as well from this time. It's very there's some kind of like techno rock tracks throughout. There's definitely some well-known stuff in here as well, but I thought all of that flowed very nicely together. And if I got to give this high marks in any area, I would say that the Atmos, the sound, was the definite standout because it led to some really immersive moments with that heart beating. I thought they used that to very good effect. Getting into the special features real quick, you do get a couple of new special features that are exclusive to the 4K. Again, not new to the STEELBOOK, but new to the 4K back in 2019. There's two brand new features in here, and that is the Crank Comic-Con special feature, and then there's more stories from Crank, and both of those are 4K only, so you will get those on the 2019 4K, but you also get them in this release as well, which I thought was pretty cool that, you know, there's still 3 years ago now or 4 years ago now, still adding in new special features for Crank, and then you get those past special features that were available in the on the Blu-ray, shooting Crank, the stunts of Crank, and pushing Crank. And another thing that I thought was interesting is this movie was shot in the era where they were transitioning from film to digital. So they talk about that in the shooting Crank, just how it was kind of tough to go to that new style of filmmaking from film to digital. So I thought that that was pretty interesting because you don't hear that being brought up a lot, I feel like, or at least of the movies that I've seen. Like it was in that weird transitional time period from film to digital, and I found that whole special feature pretty fascinating, shooting Crank. It was very interesting. So let's go ahead and dive into this unboxing, and I might cut to a little unboxing at the table so you can get a little bit of a clearer look without the glare here. But let's pull off this slipcover. Let's do that, guys. Oh my goodness. You pull off Jason Statham's head and it reveals a skull underneath that's got like electricity all around him, which is super awesome. You see the heart right there as well. So I really love this steelbook. This is one of the nicer steelbooks that Lionsgate has released in recent memory for me. And I really enjoyed the Warm Bodies steelbook for sure, but I think that this is probably my favorite steelbook that they've done this year in 2023. I love the skull and I love the yellow. Like the yellow looks really cool. I don't feel like Lionsgate's done as many like straight yellow steelbooks. They've done a lot of oranges and reds, but like yellow and black, I think look really good together. There's some oranges in there as well, but I really love the look of that skull and everything. So I'll show you the spine real quick right there. Bam, if you can see it. And on the back, he had the needles and stuff, adrenaline and all that he's pumping himself with all throughout the movie. He has some electric stuff coming. And I'll go ahead and open this up so you can kind of see the full image. I'm going to remove the digital code here real quick. And inside, guys, I believe this has to be new disc art on these discs because this is like super awesome. I don't think that was the disc art on the original release back in 2019, so has to be new disc art. But I love the colors, the blues, the pinks, the yellows. Like that's just super awesome on that 4K. And then it's a little bit different on the Blu-ray disc that you have right here. Like I said, these are the same discs transfer wise and special features wise, but they just added in, you know, some new artwork to the discs themselves. But really cool interior artwork there as well. I do enjoy that. So just a really nice steelbook, guys, overall. I honestly recommend picking this up if you don't have Crank in your collection. It's a fun mid-2000s action thriller, crime thriller. Jason Statham's awesome in it. And I think the 4K transfer is really good, like I said, for what it is. But the Atmos track, like if you got that full Atmos setup, and I don't, I'm just listening to it on my soundbar that can simulate Atmos. I do have the subwoofer. But if you have that full Atmos setup, like you're going to be completely immersed in this experience. And it's definitely a good showcase for what your system is capable of. So really cool steelbook, guys. Let me put it back in the slipcover real quick. I don't know if I showed you the back of this slipcover right here, but you can kind of see the synopsis of the film and special features and all that stuff. You do have 5 special features here. You got the casting list down below and the specs at the bottom, but I would recommend picking this up. It is $21.99. So in the age of steelbooks being $37, $39 now from the major studios, like Lionsgate is still taking care of us, putting out perfectly affordable steelbooks with really awesome, great artwork. So do recommend picking up this release. But if you can, guys, like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Comment down below your thoughts on Crank and the steelbook and this 4K. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Turn on those bell notifications for all of those future videos and follow me on all my links down below in the description. I'm on Letterboxd, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, I'm on all the places. So follow me there and I'll see you next time.